Hi everybody, welcome back to my Dating Secrets series. Today we're going to talk about how to tell if you're in your feminine energy and how to switch. I'm Jennifer Kathryn. I'm an angel intuitive. I am clairsentient, clairaudient, and clairvoyant, which is feel, hear, and see messages from the divine. I communicate with your guardian angels, ancestors, and spirit guides to receive guidance for your life on your behalf. I'm also a relationship coach. This led from all of the love and romance intuitive readings that I was doing, and I realized that sometimes people don't need an intuitive reading. What they really need is common sense relationship coaching. So I've been kind of moving into that space as I do readings. What sets me apart from other coaches is that I'm dating myself, and I'm online just like you, and I'm out there dating men. A lot of other relationship coaches are married and haven't been dating in 20 years, so they couldn't possibly know what the experience of online dating is like for a person, and actually what it feels like and what it's like to go through it and experience it. I'm also intuitive, so if we don't have any answers from common sense relationship coaching, we can always ask the divine, so that's really helpful. So today I want to talk about how to tell if you're in your feminine energy on a date and how to switch when you're not. So most of our lives during the day time, and then trying to switch over at night when you have a date. During the day at work, you're in your masculine energy. You're leading, you're directing, you're scheduling meetings, you're making phone calls. You are primarily masculine. And also women that are single mothers, head of the household, or just single and you're running your own household, you have to be in your masculine. You have to call the plumber if you need something fixed. You have to pay bills. You have to, be direct, handle things. So that's a very masculine energy to be in. But what's important is that we kind of switch into our feminine energy when we're on a date. And most women are very unconscious and unaware of the kind of energy they're putting out there on a date. So I wanted to tell you some of the ways that you can tell when you're in the masculine. So if you're kind of wondering why you're dating a guy and then all of a sudden he pulls away, or you are losing their attraction and they kind of disappear on you, this could be one of the reasons, is that you're showing up on your date in your masculine. So one of the ways that we are in our masculine energy is we're leading the conversation. So a frequent complaint that I hear about Bumble is the dynamic that starts because the woman has to create the first, thread of conversation. We have to create the first message on Bumble. So it's usually a question to the man. So it's like, hi, how are you? Or, hey, I noticed on your profile you like skiing. Where do you like to go? And then he replies either, oh yeah, I really like going to Mammoth in the wintertime, or he says, I really like going to Mammoth, and, what do you like to do? And then, so that kind of puts you back into the receiving when he's directing a question towards you. But if he doesn't, if he just says, oh, I really like skiing at Mammoth, and that's it, then you have to again initiate the conversation by generating another question for him. Oh, so what do you do for work? Whatever it is. That's boring. Don't say that. But I'm just saying, if you constantly have to be asking the questions and directing the conversation, you are in your masculine energy. So the way you try to get out of that kind of, masculine type of energy is that you don't keep generating and asking questions and directing the conversation. If he says, I really like Mammoth in the wintertime, you can say, wow, that's really interesting, or that's great, or I really like skiing too. This is where I like to go. So it's kind of just a receiving that conversational thread. You're not ignoring it. You're receiving it and, making conversation, but you're not redirecting and asking another question. Like, don't let it just die. You have to kind of take whatever he says and use that as a thread for your next topic of conversation. If you constantly, and I've heard this from men on dates before, that they say, oh wow, you're really easy to talk to. And it's because I have a conversational style that isn't like a job interview. Oh, where did you grow up? Where do you work? What do you like to do for fun? If you're just like asking questions and ticking off boxes, that is not an interesting, vibrant, lively conversation that this man is going to remember about you and how wonderful you were on the date. He's going to feel like he just finished a job interview and should probably send you his resume now. So you want to not lead the conversation, but engage in conversation in a way that's interesting and memorable. The second way to tell you're in your masculine on a date is if you're making the decisions. Now, this is another complaint from a lot of women, that first date or second date or whatever, he's like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I really think this comes from a place of a man trying to please a woman. So I think it's actually coming from a good place. But you making the decisions is very masculine, and you don't want to do that. And it's kind of like if he asks you to decide where you're going for the date, or when you're on the date, he'll ask you to make a decision like, what kind of wine do you want, to have, or like the wine for the table. I'm not talking about like one glass of wine. Obviously you order the food and drink that you want to drink, but I'm just saying, like, you making decisions, very masculine. If he asks you like, what do you want to do for the date, or where do you want to go, you can say things like, I'm open, I'm flexible. Obviously you don't have to be crazy about it. If he suggests something that's very inappropriate or something you do not want to do, obviously, redirect and say, no, how about blah, 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 or whatever. But on the whole, he should be making the plan. He should be deciding where you're going to go. He should be very firm about what time you are meeting. Do not leave it flexible, open in the air, maybe around 6. No, it's 6:30 or 7. Like, it's a decided thing. So don't let him walk all over you, obviously, but don't make decisions either. Just say, I'm flexible, or make 2 suggestions and he can pick one. That is actually the easiest thing for most men, is that if you make a couple suggestions and then he just chooses, it's a lot easier for him than on the first date than trying to decide what you like and what you want to do. Now on subsequent dates, it could probably be a little bit more democratic, but then also he should know more about you by the second and third date to know what you like and what you actually like to do and what your interests are. So it shouldn't be that hard to decide where to go on the second date. So that's just food for thought. Anyway, the third way to tell if you're in your masculine on a date and you want to be in your feminine is, do not, under any circumstances, reach and pay for the bill. Now, I just saw this on Hinge yesterday. Hinge has an Instagram account, and they had 2 young women. And when I say young women, I'm in my 40s, so anything younger than that is young to me. They were probably in their 20s or 30s. It's hard to tell. But they were answering audience questions on Instagram Live. And it was interesting. I got in the middle of the live, or like towards the end of the live, and they were talking about paying for dates. And it was really, really sad to me to see young women that feel like they have to pay their way, or they even have to pay for him. And it's really not about how much money you make, and it's not about how much money he makes. It's really about investment. And the fact that a man that's truly interested in you will want to invest his time and his money and his effort into courting you. So I'm really, really against women paying for the first date. And I know that and I've heard it all online. Believe me, I've answered this question on Quora so many times, and I get attacked for it every single time by men. That idea is old-fashioned. That idea is outdated. And in today's society, women should pay, and all this other stuff that, I don't feel like that is a very feminine thing to do. When a man wants to impress you on the first date, he is absolutely going to reach for the check and pay. He invited you out to dinner, or he invited you for coffee, or he invited you to go have a drink. So obviously he is going to pay for that drink, that coffee, that dinner. And especially if you didn't even pick the place, he did. He knows how much things cost and how much that restaurant is. And if he couldn't afford it, he shouldn't go there. So I really encourage women to allow men to be giving in that way, allow him to invest in you in that way, and let him feel like a man. Men want to provide. It's in their deep DNA from our caveman days that they want to protect and care for their women. They want to be providers. Now, I totally get that, women earn their own money. Believe me, I am a career woman. I understand that. I earn my own money. I pay my bills. Nobody supports me. But in the early stages of courting, you want to let him show you how he can provide in this small way. I understand that one dinner is not going to, be equal to paying your rent, but, it's just an example of how he is willing to invest in you. And if you do meet a man who asks you to pay, or who isn't willing to invest in you, that's a red flag. I mean, maybe it's this like, you can pay for your half and then reassess later whether you think he's worth your investment or not. But the man usually wants to pay. Like, he wants to court you. He wants to be with you. And that, no, it does not equal that you owe him sexual favors in return. It means that you are on this date with him and you are giving him your attention, your time, and your effort. So obviously, if you're on the date and you're like looking at your phone or texting your friend back, that is incredibly rude. And you should not do that under any circumstances. This man is taking you out. He is trying to show you that he's investing his time, his energy, his money in you. And what you need to provide in return is your complete 100% attention and energy and effort. So I just wanted to make that clear. I know that's a very hot topic with a lot of people about paying and money. And to be clear, I'm talking about the first date. The first date. I'm not saying he has to pay for everything until, you're old and gray and retiring, but for the first date, yes, he should absolutely pay. Now, on the second date, the third date, maybe you can offer to pay for something small, like you're at the movies and you pay for the popcorn, or you're like out getting drinks. You're like, let me get this round. Offer to reciprocate, because then it shows that you're competent and willing to invest in him as well. But believe me, even if you sometimes offer to pay for something small, the man will still say no. The man will still say, I'm treating you, I would like to pay for you. And please let him when he does do that, because it actually makes him feel emasculated if you go, no, I'm going to pay for myself. I could take care of myself. That's very masculine. You don't want to emasculate your man, especially on a date. So just lean back and receive and be in that moment with him. And just allow yourself to feel worthy of that investment. Now, I think a lot of the issues about paying your own way and not allowing a man to pay for you stems from fear. And the fear is, number one, I will owe him something like sex or sexual behaviors, or two, I'm not really worthy to receive that investment. You don't want to signal any of those things, right? Because for the first, you don't owe him that anyway, so don't worry about that. And the second, you don't want to communicate that you are somehow unworthy of $100 dinner, right? Because you are. You're totally worthy. Everyone is. So please, think about that and try not to be in the masculine on the first date. Dates 2 through 5, offer to pay for something small. Date 5, I offer to pay for everything. If I'm that invested in a man and he's obviously shown investment in me, then yes, for sure, I'm willing to pick up the $100 dinner and whatever we decide to do, because he's already shown his investment over and over. And you do want to reciprocate in some way, and you don't want to look like a gold digger. I hate that word, but and obviously, having him pay for dinner is not about being a gold digger, because I don't know about you, but I don't need anyone to buy me dinner. I could get dinner just fine on my own. The point is the date and spending time with him. So it's not about paying for dinner, or who's paying for dinner, or I need a free dinner, or whatever. It's about time and energy and investment. So please lean back and receive that gift from him. I found this interesting meme or something on Pinterest, and it really kind of made me think of, from a man's perspective, how to tell that we are in our feminine. So these are 9 signs you're dating a masculine woman. So this was a kind of a meme for a man to say, is that woman too masculine for me, or is she competing with me? Number 1 was dresses like a man. So, when you're on a date, try to wear a dress. Try to wear a skirt. I always wear a dress, but that's kind of my personal style. But when you're on a date, don't wear your corporate business suit that's navy blue, okay? That's very masculine. If you do have to come from work, try to bring a different blouse that you can change into. I mean, you can wear the same pants, whatever, but try to not look so buttoned up and conservative and corporate when you're trying to be feminine on a date. Obviously floral patterns, light fabrics, those are more feminine, not to dress like a man. The second was walks like a construction worker. So men sometimes find it charming when a woman kind of strides, or what they call walks like a little girl. But a more feminine way to walk is with a little sway in your hips. So if you just take a walk and notice, what vibe you're putting out. Are you striding purposely forward, or are you kind of sinking into it and being relaxed and swaying your hips a little? That's feminine. That's the feminine way to walk. When the man thinks that smiling or giggling from you is a non-appropriate behavior. So if you're super serious, if that's your personality, that's fine, but please feel free to smile at him and loosen up and giggle sometimes if it's funny, laugh at his jokes. Because do you think it is masculine to giggle. When's the last time you heard a man giggle? Okay? That's a very feminine thing to do, and it kind of signals to your masculine that you're in the feminine energy. So lighten up and have fun on your dates. You have a strong handshake. That's very masculine, like very, hi, nice to meet you. Don't try to break his hand. I know a lot of women I know are very strong because of our dance practice, but you don't have to break his hand or try to when you're giving him a handshake on the date. And speaking of that, like, why are you shaking hands? Like, is it okay to hug? Like, you hug complete strangers all the time. Don't tell me that you don't. So you can hug that man at the end of the date. It doesn't need to be a handshake unless he like completely repelled you. And in that sense, you should have got up and left in the middle of the date anyway if you were watching my red flags video. So, if the woman tries to pick you up. So obviously men feel it's very masculine when we are hitting on them, trying to not flirt, but trying to pick them up. Like if you're asking for his number, if you're like, blatantly making sexual advances, that's very masculine, and they pick up on that, as you're not a feminine woman. This is, and again, a personal thing, but no makeup. He feels like he's dating a masculine woman if she's not wearing makeup. And to be honest, if you don't enjoy putting on makeup, that's fine. Like it's not a requirement. Obviously, women are very beautiful without makeup. But if you do enjoy it, take the time and put it on because it makes you look more feminine. Doesn't dress up. So if you're showing up for your dates like super casual, like sweats and a t-shirt, that is very, very much a turn off. It really, I don't think it signals masculine and feminine really. It just signals very low investment. Like, I do not care about you enough to even look pretty for you. And that's basically what you're saying. So if you show up like a slob on a date, that's very unappealing. Men don't like it, and they assume it's very masculine. If you treat dating like a business meeting. So this is an area a lot of women have struggles with, and why they go to seek relationship coaches in the first place, because they don't know how to date. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to behave. We've spent so much time being successful in the business world and how to relate to men on a very platonic level, because obviously you don't flirt at work. You don't put out a sexual vibe at work. And everyone is very platonic, men and women. You're just trying to be professional, right? But you can't bring that professional energy to your date. Otherwise, it feels like you're having lunch with a colleague and it's a business meeting. So you have to bring that fun, flirty, carefree, feminine energy to your date so he knows this is a date. This isn't just a business meeting where you're interviewing me on my job skills or my interests or whatever. You should never feel interview-like, ever. If the woman is career yes, family no. Somehow they feel that is very masculine. Now, I am a mother, but I understand and appreciate absolutely that not all women care to be mothers, desire to be mothers, or can be mothers. Sometimes it's not possible. So I don't think this is really fair for men to be judgy about if I'm all about my career and not starting a family right now, or not starting a family ever. That's kind of an unfair assessment, obviously, to make, to draw a line like you're too masculine if you care about your career, and you're too masculine if you don't want to start a family or have kids. But they see it that way. So I just wanted to make you aware that they feel it's very hyper masculine energy if you're all about your career. So I know a lot of people that are very successful in their careers, but they also have hobbies and outside interests. It makes them a well-rounded person and an interesting person and a fun person to be around. So if you happen to be one of these people that is all about your career, it takes long hours, please try to round out your life with family and friends and hobbies and interests. Whatever your interests are, please pursue them. It makes you a more interesting and well-rounded person. Taking time for yourself, for self-care, is important. I understand that everyone is, trying to succeed, trying to make ends meet, trying to be successful, but you will burn out if you don't take time for self-care and you're all about your career 100% of the time. So, while I understand it's not everyone's desire to have children, I do feel like it is everyone's desire to have a full, abundant, interesting life that is not all about work. So if you have kind of thought about it and you realize, well, yeah, I probably could, do something else in the evening besides open up my laptop and work on some more stuff, please, pursue that and look for that, because men want to be with women who are happy, whole, and complete all by themselves and don't need someone to fill in the blank or complete them. So I hope that was helpful to you to tell if you're in your masculine or in your feminine and how to switch. I do have an article about it on my blog if you want to go to jenniferkathryn.org and read more about that. If you are interested in relationship coaching, I have packages on my website. I also have intuitive readings on my website. You can check that there. You can make an appointment on my website. If you found this video helpful and you have a friend you'd like to share it with, please feel free to forward this to her. Please like and share and subscribe. I'm really trying hard to grow my YouTube channel. I want to make more videos like this, and I think having a broader audience would be just awesome. I actually had a client today who found me from YouTube. So hi and thank you, and I'm so excited to serve and reach more people every single day. You can watch some of my other dating secrets topics. I recorded Why Interested Men Disappear, 10 ways to meet men in real life, and dating red flags. Up next is 10 signs he's playing you. So we will get into that next time. But if you have any questions about anything I've said or have a suggestion on a topic, please feel free to put that in the comments. I love hearing from everyone, and I love it when people comment on my Facebook posts, on my Instagram posts, in my groups, and on YouTube. So thank you so much, and I hope this information gave you some more confidence, because confidence is beautiful. See you next time.